problems. And I don't know if it just multiplies as we get a little bit older, things get a little bit more difficult, but this is a great way to maybe head off some of the issues.
I think it's part of the human condition that we spend a lifetime, we have to eat, and especially nowadays we eat much more than we ever should, and we tend to eat things that are not terribly natural, that are a lot of manufactured foods, and just our lives are challenging, are stressful. So there's a multitude of factors that challenge our digestive system. And one of the things that is defining of digestion, part of the reason it works so well when we're young, we secrete plenty of hydrochloric acid. And oddly enough, as much as we think we have acid stomachs when we get older, we actually don't secrete acid as effectively. We tend to be more sensitive to it, but we don't secrete it as effectively. And when we don't secrete it as effectively, guess what that does? It interferes, it diminishes the effectiveness of our digestion, because that stomach acid is a critical part of digestion, of the denaturing of protein, of the protein digestion itself. Those proteolytic enzymes require that low pH, that acidic pH. So again, digestive enzymes at the very core, we're doing unbelievably complicated work in our gut when we eat food. If you think about all the random assorted things we eat, and the fact that our body breaks them down entirely, to the point where they leave our body unrecognizably later. We don't need to think about that necessarily, but it bears no resemblance to that which we ate. That is all enzymes. Because it's not like we have a stove or some chemical lab at a high temperature inside our body. We're doing all that work at, 98 degrees or so Fahrenheit. So we're doing all this complicated, intense chemical work, breaking down proteins. When you cook a steak in an oven, you don't even break down the proteins. But you break down the proteins in your belly, in your digestive system, in your stomach, in your small intestine, and then basically we get rid of it in our colon. So it's fascinating to think that we could do all this incredibly complicated work in our bodies and just think we could live our lives normally while we're doing so, which is a pretty amazing thing. And we do that. But over the course of our lifetime, the challenges we experience, what I often say, it relates to how effectively we digest things. And the perfect word is indigestion, not digestion. So when it comes to digestion, the key to all digestion, healthy digestion, are enzymes. That's what does the work. Those enzymes enable these really complicated chemical reactions to take place in a rather moderate environment inside our body. And that's why enzymes are the core of Digest Assure. That's all that's in the capsule of Digest Assure are enzymes. Interesting enough, at one time when I first introduced this product, I ran it on a capsule machine. And I didn't use a respirator or things like that or coverwear gloves and things because I was just kind of checking it out initially. And it was a really great exfoliator. It was great for exfoliating my hands and my skin. Of course, now when we make it, we wear all sorts of protective equipment and things. But it was fascinating. It just showed me the power of digestive enzymes. And a lot of times you see skincare products that use digestive enzymes as part of the exfoliation process. But digestive enzymes are the key to breaking down the food we eat and deriving their benefits. It's the key to not just breaking them down to get their benefits, but breaking them down sufficiently so that they don't make us uncomfortable and miserable during their almost 30-foot journey outside our body. You know, it starts at our mouth and it goes to the other end, and that's a journey that's 25 feet or so. If things aren't going well or comfortably, we're going to know about it. And Digest Assure, all it is pure enzymes. It's an incredibly positively reviewed product because it just provides the enzymes that does the work that we so desperately need as we get older.
600 five-star reviews, as a matter of fact. What I'm wondering is, how do I take it? Do I take it before every meal? Do I take it once a day?
You take it if there's certain, for me, when I take this, it's when I'm going to have sort of a bigger and heavier meal. If I'm just going to have a normal meal, I don't take Digest Assure. But when I am having a bigger meal, I never forget to take it. It's a product that you could take. You should take it either just before you eat, say within 15 or 30 minutes of eating, or within an hour of finishing the meal, because it will still be in your stomach and the enzymes will still deliver benefits. There's a lot of digestive enzyme products that come in, you know, big tablets and things, and I always smile when I look at them because, okay, I have to take a tablet that I need to digest to have the digestive enzymes to help me digest the food. So it just makes no sense at all, whereas we deliver, and it's going to be among the finest powders of any product we make. It's really like dust. And the reason why is the finer the powder, the greater the surface area, the more effective it is in doing its digestive work. Because the finer that surface area, the more it exposes itself to the food you've eaten. And the degree to which it mixes and fully exposes itself to that food, that surface area determines the reaction. Because you want these enzymes to chemically react with your food and do their enzymatic digestive work. So it has to be in an ultrafine powder.
And I'm looking at the picture on the front, and it's a picture of a pineapple and papaya.
Well, that's because we, in addition to the proteolytic enzymes and other enzymes we put in there, we put papain and bromelain, which are one of the things that I often do if I'll eat a meal. If I typically don't eat dessert unless I'm splurging, but the things I will have sometimes is berries, or sometimes I'll have pineapple, or I'll have papaya. And what's nice about having pineapple or papaya, it's Mother Nature's natural digestive aids. So you're getting the benefits of the proteolytic enzymes, papain and bromelain present, and they also have other benefits in our body as well, papaya and pineapple.
So how would this compare to, for example, some of the other biotics that are out there?
This isn't a probiotic. A probiotic is going to be things which we'll talk about in a moment, our friendly flora product. And those are going to be things like Lactobacillus acidophilus. Those are going to be the friendly probiotics, the friendly flora in our body, which we can walk over there. But and talking about ultimate friendly flora, the organisms that exist